What's going on, Opecast? It's Braden, and today I have the sweetest guest that I've had on the podcast so far. You may know her from Clementine's. I have Tamara. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, doing wonderful, and I'm very excited for this conversation because I love Clementine's. But
Thank you.
Before we dive into that, let's talk about you.
Well, growing up in a large Irish-Italian household, we didn't have a lot of money. We come from pretty humble beginnings. And one day at church, I heard kids talking about going for ice cream. And I wanted to, like, who doesn't want to go for ice cream as a kid? And so I ran over to my mom and I asked her, I'm like, hey, do we get to go for ice cream? And the answer was no. Well, you know, as a kid, you don't know that you're not supposed to make your parents feel bad for being poor, right? You just know that other kids get to go do something and you don't.
And they're having fun and you're like,
yeah.
Can we have fun too?
Yeah. And so I think all summer, like, I did that. And the answer was always no. And one day we were driving home and we stopped by a garage sale because that's where we got our stuff at. And we found an old ice cream maker for $2 and we bought it and we went home and we made ice cream.
That's amazing.
Which was super cool. But what was interesting was other families at our church got wind that we were making homemade ice cream. And so all these people who we didn't know very well, or we never got invited to their house, because who wants to invite 9 people over to their house for dinner, right? Started asking if they could come to our house. And so we couldn't afford to make ice cream for all those people. So one family would bring the milk, another family would bring the cream, and somebody else would bring the strawberries or whatever. And so we went from, like, as a kid, we went from like this like unpopular like family to like the most popular family in church, which was really cool. And so for me as a kid, like, ice cream changed my life, right? Like, my whole sense of community was changed by the ice cream. And that stayed with me always. And it, you know, we made ice cream as a family growing up. And then unfortunately, when my mom passed away when I was 21, I kind of took it over and it really became my hobby and my passion as an adult. And so I always just made ice cream.
How did you guys learn how to make ice cream? Like, when I was growing up, I used to make cookies. We had the Betty Crocker book. It was page like 47. Open it up. It was all the stains on the stuff.
Absolutely.
So I was known, like, when I was a kid, I've never shared this, but I used to make like cookies like every Christmas. And so it was like all of my like my whole family, my neighbors, even like my parents, they work at a nursing homes. And so the residents would look forward to it. But it was that Betty Crocker book. I had to follow it. But, you know, you got to throw in more of that sweet stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So how did you learn? Do you guys, was it like a family recipe or?
It was really my mom. My mom, I don't know how she knew how to use one of the old hand crank with ice and salt. And like, maybe, I'm sure she probably learned from somebody in her family. But I really kind of learned from my mom. And, you know, we started with the old hand crank, and then over time, you know, I changed my method and my mechanism and my ice cream machine. But it was my mom's love of not throwing anything away out of our fridge. So I always say that my mom was the first one to make like crazy ice cream flavors because we didn't have a lot of money. So we did not waste food in our house ever. And so I remember one ice cream, it was like a tomato and feta cheese ice cream, because that's what was left over in the fridge that my mom didn't want to throw away or waste. And so she's like, well, let's put it in the ice cream and let's see what happens. And so she was like just genuinely like creative, but like could never like throw away food. So we always just did fun, crazy ice cream flavors. And that was like kind of inspiring as a kid to not limit myself as to like ice cream is only chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. It's whatever crazy thing that you can think of to put in the ice cream that could potentially be fun or interesting or tasty.
My wife's grandma, I think she's about 83. And no matter what was the leftover, so she'll make dinner almost every other day. Whatever that leftover was, instead of just reheating it, she'll take that and put in like a new recipe. So it's like, I wonder if that was just
like upcycling food. Yeah. Make something new and different. Maybe.
I make some bomb breakfast tacos with leftover, like, you know, steak. Like,
what about chorizo? Do you use chorizo? I love chorizo and eggs. You ever had that?
No, should I?
Oh my gosh. It's amazing. So growing up in Southern California, we have like the best Mexican food ever. Right. And like, we grew up with like breakfast burritos, but it was like chorizo and eggs and like authentic frijoles and like, you know, refried beans where they're made with lard and not other stuff, like the really good kind. So good. Well, yes, you need to try chorizo.
was gonna say, like, growing up in Southern California, it's like warmer year round, right? So ice cream's always the thing.
Ice cream is always the thing. And for us, it was like, it's wholesome, it's easy, it's affordable. And, ice cream is the most democratizing food product out there, right? Because it doesn't matter if you're the CFO or you're the janitor, you can take your kids for ice cream.
Yep.
Right. When I was a kid, it was different because there was 9 of us in our family. Right. And so that was tough. But now ice cream really is something that everyone can afford. And so when times are tough, I have parents in shops tell me all the time, especially like, you can't afford to take your families like out to dinner and a movie or whatever, but you can cook dinner at home and you can afford to take your kids for ice cream. So even when times get tough, ice cream is something that people will switch to or add to because it's something affordable. And then when times are good, they're like, oh yeah, and we can go for ice cream too.
And you create core memories.
Yeah, it's about the memories and it's about the community. It's about like bringing people together. And I also think, we're living in this world where we're like so connected, like with our Apple Watch and our iPhone and computers and laptops and iPad, like all the things. But like the thing we yearn for the most is to be connected to each other
in person.
And guess what? When you're holding an ice cream cone, you're not holding a phone.
Or if you just for the photo.
Oh, just maybe for the photo. But in general, like
I know.
So it's actually an interesting place where like people connect. And if you ever, I love sometimes just to go and like sit on our patios and watch people because it's like true like joy of connection and laughter and memories and like ice cream. It's like this very sweet, innocent thing that totally like draws people together, which is different. Like coffee shops are great, but coffee shops are very like independent. People go there to work. They want to go be by themselves or have a coffee. Like you don't walk into an ice cream shop. Like you're never alone when you walk into an ice cream shop. Like people are always there.
And like you mentioned, the different generations.
Yeah.
Like I've gone there with my niece. She's 5. Myself, like my grandma, and we're all in there together and it's all ice cream. And
everyone loves it and everything. Everyone has it in common.
Now you're 21 years old. You're carrying on the tradition. What was life like when you were 21? Were you still in Southern California? Did you go away?
Yep. I was pretty much raised and lived in Southern California my whole life until when in my corporate life, I was working for DuPont and they relocated me here to St. Louis. Yeah.
Now, when you relocated to St. Louis, what was your first thoughts?
Oh, I came to St. Louis kicking and screaming. I did not want to come to St. Louis. Like, honestly, I didn't know where it was on a map. I knew they had this arch thing, and that was it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the armpit of the country. Like, I cannot believe I have to go there. And in fact, it took 6 months and a visit from our CEO at the time to like strong arm me into coming to St. Louis with the promise that I would go anywhere in the company I wanted as long as I gave 2 years in St. Louis. And so I did. I was like, okay, I can do 2 years anywhere. And I say within 6 months, I found my one true love, and that's the city of St. Louis.
How did they sell you on St. Louis though? Like what was the thing? Like what I tell people now, come to St. Louis, Forest Park's the first thing because everything you can do there is going to be free. You're going to be happy. Then after that, I started talking about like the different neighborhoods, and they all know the Arch. They all know Nelly. But then like once I get them in with Forest Park, I get them out, get them to restaurants in different pockets, see different areas. How do they sell you on St. Louis besides the Arch?
So at that time, they didn't. What sold me was the fact that after my 2 years in St. Louis, they would send me wherever I wanted to go, really. Right. So, and really it was when I came to St. Louis, I lived at the Chase for a couple of months while I was looking for a house. And they kept sending me like out to the county and I wasn't really finding anything. And just by happenstance, my realtor said, I need to run into the city to pick up something. Can you come? And I'm like, sure. And so she drove into Lafayette Square and she's like, I'm going to drop you at this coffee shop and I'll be back in an hour. And I'm like, cool, fine. And as we were driving into Lafayette Square, I said, what is this neighborhood? This is amazing. And then she dropped me at the coffee shop. And when I was in the coffee shop, the owner was in there at the time and all these neighbors who lived, and they they were walking, hi, who are you? What are you doing? And I was like, whoa, because in California, no one walks up to you unless they want something from you. And people were so nice. And they're like, oh, this is our neighborhood. And they started telling me about the history. And they're like, oh, come Thursday night, we're having a neighborhood meeting. And then we're all going to get together for wine after. And I was like, this is the neighborhood that I want to live in. And so it was really just this experience, this Midwestern hospitality. And it was the neighborhood of Lafayette Square that like drew me in, that I fell in love with. I mean, Midwesterners are like so friendly and they're real. The cost of living in St. Louis is ridiculously cheap compared to everywhere else in the country. I mean, I fell in love, with so much that St. Louis had to offer, right? Because if there's music, if you're into music, there's an incredible music scene. If you're into food, there's an incredible food scene. You can be here, start out, get married, have a kid, live on one income, go on vacation, save for retirement, have your kids go to a decent school, and buy a house for $120,000 here, right? And that blew my mind.
Yep. And all the activities you can do for free. And
the 1,500 seats to the Muni in perpetuity are free. Programming around the city is free. The zoo is free. It's the second best zoo in the country, and it's free. Access to the art. I mean, I've never seen a city where their tax dollars were put to work as well as in St. Louis. I mean, it just blew my mind that there was so much for people here that no one knew about.
Well, and it's like you're saying, access to the arts.
It's
Shakespeare
incredible.
in the Park. That's free. And there's free concerts every time, every summer. Many of the parks will have series going on.
We do in Lafayette Square.
Lafayette, yeah.
Yeah, every month there's one free movie night where they play a really cool movie in the park, and you just bring food and picnics. And then the opposite weekend, they have a free concert in the park at Botanical Gardens, right? Free concerts, I mean, there's just so much going on in the city for free all the time. It's a great place to raise a family and to be young.
And the thing I like about Lafayette Square is I was in San Francisco, I think 2-3 years ago, and, obviously beautiful homes. But then it's I come back to St. Louis and I'm like, these are painted ladies. These are very beautiful old homes. And, obviously it's not San Francisco, but seriously in St. Louis, you have.
It's affordable here.
It's affordable. You have different pockets. You have your little San Francisco, you have a little New Orleans, you have your Music Row, almost like Nashville over on Del Mar. You have your, just the different areas. And now you're up here for a few years. We were talking off camera about making that jump from corporate, as I recently did. Yeah. What was it? What hit you where you were like, you know what, I'm done with corporate. I'm going to open up my own ice cream shop.
I just got into the level in my corporate career, which was the job of my dreams. And, I always thought, oh, when I get here, it's going to be this. And I think I really got to the top of my game and I was not happy, right? I wanted to own my own life and I wanted to own my own destiny. And I couldn't ever do that when there was somebody always controlling my future, right? And so taking control of my life and taking control of my destiny was really important to me. And I was, in my corporate life, I was on the road. In 2012, I traveled 262 days that year. I was always gone. I was making I had achieved everything that I thought I wanted. And I still found myself being 38 years old and single and never home and never seeing my family and never seeing my friends and not, settled. It was just not where I wanted to be.
You saw there's more to life.
I had this very romanticized notion that when I started Clementine's, that I was just going to open a little ice cream shop in my neighborhood and I was going to meet somebody and I was going to have get married and have a little girl and raise her in the ice cream shop. I never had illusions of what I have today.
Yeah.
But I did what I do best, and that's build brands. And I think, and we just I made the best ice cream anywhere in the country. And when I opened Lafayette Square in 2015, I was so unnerved by the 7 and 8 hour lines that never stopped outside of our shop. I mean, it was crazy. The lines would go down around the block in the summer and and there was no parking and there was all this construction and 7 people still came. And I was like, oh crap, I was motivated to open another shop to alleviate the lines. And then I opened DeMud in 2017. And then the lines started there. And although lines move really fast, I was like...
It was consistent.
It was consistent. And I was like, oh, have something
You're onto
here.
something, yeah.
I'm onto something. And St. Louis loves their independent businesses, right? We're like super supportive of our own. And I was like, I think there's something here, and I think I want to build this thing. And I really wanted the world to have my ice cream, because most of the ice cream out there is not great.
It's just ice cream.
It's just ice cream. It's frozen sweet, but like it's not great. And having worked in the food industry, I know what all of these companies do to food, and it's not cool, right?
Right.
And it's not good, right? And so I wanted to do it my way, right? That's why we did the micro creamery concept. That's why I did Clementine's Naughty and Nice. So we have the boozy.
I was going to ask, for those who don't know, what is a micro creamery?
Oh, that's a good question. So think of microbrewery for beer, but for ice cream. So there are 5 qualifications that you have to meet in order to be a micro creamery.
Okay.
1, you have to be small batch, meaning a real person stands in front of the machine and they spin and make the ice cream. Right. Number 2, everything in the ice cream has to be handcrafted. If there's a pie, cake, or cookie, we make it, bake it, put it in it. We salt our own caramels, we candy our own pecans. I have a whole baking and pastry team. We make we make 2,000 gooey butter cakes a week to go into our gooey butter cake ice cream. It's crazy.
2,000?
2,000. It's our number 1 flavor.
Oh, I get it every time.
I know. Well, that's why. But it's so important. You have to make everything that goes into the ice cream, right? And so you want those big chunks of deliciousness. Like when you bite in and you're like, oh, that's a piece of gooey butter cake. You know, commercial stuff, you get that little piece of, I always think they look like rabbit turds.
The little moose tracks.
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good. That's whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So handcrafted. Everything has to be handcrafted. 3, in order to be a micro creamery, it has to be all natural. So we are the only all natural ice cream maker within 5 states. So nothing artificial goes into my ice cream. No artificial flavors, fillers, emulsifiers, or anything. So it's good, clean, it's real ice cream. So when you think about how they used to make ice cream when our grandparents were young, that's how we make ice cream. And nobody really makes it like that anymore. Number 4, in order to be a micro creamery, it has to have more than 16% butterfat in it. So the butterfat in the ice cream, butterfat is what carries the flavor in your mouth and coats your tongue. And so that's the difference between like we're super premium ice cream and low premium. So you ever taken a bite of ice cream and it like the flavor goes away right away? Yeah. It's because it's really cheap ice cream and low butterfat, and you have to eat a lot more. So when an ice cream has a lot of butterfat in it, you like take that bite and 2 minutes later, you're like,
still there.
It's still there.
Yeah.
You're like, this is so good. And it's also a lot more satiating, so you don't have to like eat as much. So most ice creams in the grocery store are 10% butterfat, maybe 12. We're between 16 to 18%.
Okay.
Like that's why our ice creams are like super creamy and super decadent. And then last but not least, in order to be a micro creamery, you have to have less than 30% overrun. So overrun is a technical term. That is the amount of air that they whip into the ice cream. And so most places, most ice cream shops, most ice creams in the grocery store, it's 100% overrun, meaning when you buy that pint of ice cream, you're actually getting 50% ice cream and 50% air. That's called 100% overrun.
Okay.
So, and why? Why do they do that? Because the more air you whip into the product, the more containers it fills using less ice cream.
It's like when I buy a bag of chips and it's like, oh, that much of this big of a bag is full.
Yeah.
Like in ice cream form. So you think you're getting more, but you're actually getting the same as if you cut that, right?
Yeah. So when you get a pint, it's actually only 50% ice cream. The rest is air that they whip into it. And that's called 100% overrun. So that's why if you take a pint of our ice cream versus anybody else's, ours is so much heavier because we don't put all the air in the ice cream that other companies do. Or if you've ever walked into an ice cream shop and you get like this big cone and it melts instantly, it's because it's full of air. There's no ice cream to actually hold it together. And it's really like cheating and manipulating the consumer, which I don't like.
Because it takes a minute for yours to even melt. Like, because like some shops, I only go to like maybe 2 spots and yours is one of them. But it's like the reason why is I would go to other ones and by the time you go and check out, it's like just melting all over your hand.
It's because of the overrun.
That makes sense.
It's really cheap ice cream. So if they're using a lot of overrun in their product, they're also using really cheap ingredients.
Science fact of the day.
That's right.
You should do something with the science center because that is science.
That's a whole other story.
Okay.
But we did. We built and designed their ice cream shop that's in there.
Never mind.
It doesn't have our name on it anymore because, the big guys pushed us out, us little guys out.
And anyway, it happens a lot in St. Louis.
It does. Hey, they can write bigger checks. We can't. Right. But yeah, so all of those things make you a micro creamery. Mm-hmm. And so it was really because of the way that I make the ice cream. Well, do you know that it's the enzyme in the protein in the ice cream that actually releases like a cortisol type effect that makes you relaxed, and it kind of gives you a little buzz and it relaxes you. That's why a lot of people eat ice cream before they go to bed, because it relaxes them. It's no different than drinking a glass of milk. You've heard that? I
didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
I thought it was my sugar addiction. I was like, that's why I eat it and go to bed.
No, it's there's something to the science of the ice cream. It actually relaxes you and makes you feel better. Right here.
You guys are learning. Dante's off camera and learning over here. Now, you were talking about naughty or nice. Mm-hmm. So what is that for those who don't know?
So it's Clementine's Naughty and Nice ice cream. So naughty, I have a trade secret process for infusing alcohol into ice cream, hence the naughty flavors, the boozy ones, fun. And then we have nice for everybody. And then, we should talk about too, we have like this massive cult following for our vegan non-dairy ice creams, like all across the country. In fact, we have this lady who comes from Chicago every 6 months. And there's this group of moms, like a mom's group from some neighborhood in Chicago for kids who can't have dairy. And she comes with like these huge Yeti coolers in the back of her Suburban and dry ice. Wow. And she'll buy like 500 pints of the vegan ice cream, and she takes it up and splits it amongst like all these moms for their kids who can't have dairy. It's crazy.
How does that make you feel? Like you're impacting lives. Like...
Yeah, it's really cool. But that we were the first ice cream shop and the first people in the country to like produce at scale vegan ice creams that actually taste good, because they're really hard to formulate. They're really hard to formulate to actually taste good. There are alternatives out there that you might beat me, but taste like ass, right? That's gross, that nobody really wants to eat, but that's the only alternative. And so when I first started, my best friend who was a vegan said, the only thing I truly miss is ice cream. She goes, can you please make an ice cream for us vegans that's non-dairy, that tastes amazing? And I said, yes. And so I went to work, and that's why, like, most people don't even know that our non-dairy ice creams are non-dairy.
I always joke, I've told tons of people this. I'm like, you're going to make me a vegan just because of that vegan chocolate chip tahini. Like, so good. My go-to is typically that vegan chocolate chip tahini, the gooey butter cake. If I'm feeling 3 scoops, I'll get the Italian butter cookie.
Yep.
It depends how hot. If it's like 95, I'm getting that. My niece, she likes the blue one. I can't think of Blue Moon. I was gonna say that, but now I was like nervous. You were like, oh, that's actually naughty.
No, that's a nice one.
And like your product's good. So like my wife and I, we've been together for about 15 years. But it's one of those places that if I go to, I gotta call. Hey, would you like a scoop? Because we're like close to the Hampton location. And so it's
if you don't, she finds out, you're in big trouble.
Oh my gosh. And so sometimes I feel lucky though too. Like I'll go in and I'll look at the cooler, because sometimes I'm like, I don't want one right now, but I want to take some home for later. And I'll see the vegan sugar cookie. That vegan sugar, and it'll be like, like in February or something, I'll see it. I'm like, they're like, yeah, this is the last one. And for some reason I tend to get it at that time of the year when they're like, oh, we're almost out.
FOMO, man.
God, that vegan sugar cookie is so good.
It's really, our vegan ice creams are really good. I am in my sphere of, or my zone of genius. Like, I may not be good at a lot of things in life, but I'm really good at making ice cream. I'm really good at doing Clementines. Best decision I ever made.
I agree. Like, and the thing, like, you have so many flavors. How many, like, obviously you're about to come out with some more. Mm-hmm. Like, how many flavors have you even made?
I don't know. 500, 600, 700. I have no idea, actually. No one's ever actually asked me that question before. I don't know.
When you started, because kind of like the first month you're there, Lafayette Square. How many did you start with?
Well, I started with 24
Okay.
on the rail. That's what we call it, like in the dipping cabinets. We talk about on the rail. 24 we started. So we always have 24 flavors in the shop on the rail. But I have about 40 to 50 in the to-go pint freezer. So different flavors that we don't necessarily have all the time, but we always have to have, right? So we always have to have Blue Moon, right? Because people love that. But we don't always have it on the rail year round. But yeah.
It was a pleasant treat whenever you were first put into the Fox. Like, so my audience, they know I'm not just hyping you up, like legit, like, and you may see some of the tags, like, whenever I'm there, but no, like when you first got into the Fox, my wife and I like, all right, you want to go get Clementines? Cause I think it's just gooey butter and is it Italian butter cookie, the other flavor?
They have like a couple, and then once in a while they'll have a special flavor that we'll collab and make for them. With the show.
Like you did Wicked and Lion King.
Yeah. See, we do fun flavors. I like it. You're paying attention.
Yeah. I'll go into the store and I'll see the sign like win tickets and try this flavor. All right. So you're in St. Louis, 8 locations. Very recently, you were able to go down to South by Southwest.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
That was awesome and overwhelming and cool. It just, it was amazing that someone from St. Louis was picked to go speak there. That was really cool. There's so many people, 500,000 people descend for a week on South by Southwest.
I did not know that. Wow.
It is crazy town. There's all these different houses everywhere. They call them houses, but they're like big companies and brands and activations like all over town. Like we had a bunch of stuff going on at the Midwest House that we did with Greater STL. But then to like get put in a room where you're on a stage in front of 1,000 people, right? And
was that the first time you were in front of 1,000 like that? In that setting for Clementines?
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of nerve-wracking, but it was cool, right? You practice and you get ready. But what was neat is we gave our talk on the Clementine's organoleptic experience. Okay. And so we made it super interactive, which they didn't really know we were going to do. We just did on the fly. So it was super cool. So people could smell waffle cones during the presentation. And then we did like videos of the shops and different things. So we gave people this really cool experience. And then we gave away ice cream too, which was really cool. Yeah. So it was cool. It was an honor to be selected to go and to represent St. Louis. That was really cool. And to, show people another amazing, we have so many cool things happening in St. Louis that people don't know about. Right. And so anytime, at least I feel like anytime I get to do something on the national stage, yes, it's great for Clementines, but it's really good for St. Louis. And so, I love being a part of that.
Well, it's like when people come to St. Louis, you're on the list, or.
And I take people, like I'm always, and this is like so true. Like I could have not followed my dreams if it wasn't for the people of St. Louis, right? It's like, so I love this city. I'm so proud to be from here now. I mean, I've lived here since 2008, so I kind of feel like I'm a local almost. Yep. I can't answer the high school question, but that's
expired.
Okay. That's expired.
We're trying to get rid of that.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think that's, I don't know. I have a lot of I'm super passionate about the city, and we have so many amazing things going on. We're a gem of a city. Like I said, it's an incredible place to be. I think too many people harp on the things that aren't good, and they don't talk enough about the things that really are good.
St. Louis is its own biggest critic. They'll tell you the 4 bad things before they tell you about the 100 good things. Other places will be, here's the 100 good things and here's the 4 bad things.
Well, and the funny thing is when people come from other places, they actually love St. Louis. They're so impressed. They're like, oh my gosh, this city is so amazing, right? But it's the critics, right, who are from here who we have to win over. We're doing it though.
We're trying.
Every scoop at a time, we're doing it.
That's the slogan, right?
Happiness one scoop at a time.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
8 locations. People can purchase your ice cream across the country.
Because we ship online everywhere.
Ship online. What's next for Clementine's?
Take over the world. No, we're going to expand. We're going to expand into Kansas City next. And so we're getting ready to sign some leases and open up some locations.
Is that breaking news?
Well, you know, sort of, maybe.
Breaking news.
Clementine's is going into the KC. So
Incredible. Congrats.
Thank you. No, we're really excited. You know, we're planning on going regional first. And then the plan is to go nationwide after that, but that's probably in 5 or 6 years from now.
Now, as an entrepreneur, what keeps you going?
What keeps me going is the work that we do, right? I think I was just saying this to someone else recently is, you know, when I had like 1 or 2 shops, it was very much about like me and what I wanted to do and getting out of corporate. Like it was very like me centric. And I think once I got to the 3rd location, things changed. So Clementine's isn't about me anymore. It's about the team. And it's about
how many people?
238, right?
238 families.
Families are supported by Clementine's in St. Louis. So it has like morphed over to now it's about the team. It's about what we're doing in our city. You know, I just built a 25,000 square foot manufacturing facility in North City in the lowest socioeconomic zip code in the city.
Amazing.
And we're providing living wage jobs to people who've never had it, didn't have access to those kinds of jobs, who live in those neighborhoods. And now we built this facility and now we have capacity for 50 shops. So, okay, I got to go open 50 shops now to like continue more jobs, you know? So it's really my evolution or my journey has changed along the way, to, you know, just wanting something for me and making the best ice cream in the country to like doing something and having an impact in the communities that I'm serving and the neighborhoods that we're a part of. It's different. And, you know, as an entrepreneur, in order to make a difference in our city, the people who have the ability to make investment decisions, who have the ability to make choices about how we do business, where we do business, has to happen or our city won't change. And so for me, I wanted to invest and I wanted to do something, and there has to be somebody to go first. Right. And so if a woman entrepreneur can go and invest in that part of the city, build a thriving business, have people love it, grow and find employees and do all that thing, then others will come. And that like rising tides truly does raise all ships. And so it's like, it's changed over time for kind of what our mission is always to provide this amazing, unique and decadent elevated ice cream experience, but it really is to make a difference. And that's not just fucking lip service. That's like, this is what we're doing.
So the next time you buy a scoop, it's more than just a scoop. That's so cool. Like you're investing in St. Louis, you're investing in right about 240 families. You're part of people's core memories. People are coming from Chicago, ordering 500. People are down South by Southwest trying your flavor. People are ordering it all over. Like, have you ever just taken a step back for like, whoa, this is what I've done? Like you're just let's say you drove here, you drove probably right past your shop. Does it hit you like?
Sorry. I'm really grateful every day. I'm grateful every day to do what I love to do in the city that I love to do it. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. Try not to do that. But it's super impactful because I think at least I like when you come from really humble beginnings and you work your whole life to get to a certain place and you put yourself through college and you like on this track, it's very much like, I don't want to be that. I want to have other choices and I want to work hard and I want to do other things. And then you kind of get to a point in life and it's just different. You just change. You just start looking at the world around you and you're like, oh, like I actually have to contribute to this place to make it better. And I need to be grateful for what I have because there's so many people out there who don't have what we have or don't have the ability to get to where we have gotten. You know, the fact that we can sit here right now and do this, it's a privilege and it's an honor. And so I really do try to be super. In fact, every morning I wake up with my boyfriend, Mike, and the first thing we talk about is we do we call it our morning gratitudes.
Yeah.
What do we have to be grateful for today? Because I think life is too easy to get into and to forget and not be grateful. So I really do. I get to do what I love to do every day.
Especially like when you're in the thick of it, no pun intended on like ice cream or anything, but like when you're in heat of something, it's good to just take a step back and be like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'll share an experience with you that happened last week. So, our dishwasher in our company, who one might say is like the most entry-level job, just bought a house.
That's huge.
Our dishwasher bought a house. And so every time an employee in our company like buys a house or something, like we do a little celebration and like I like give them a Home Depot gift certificate and like
awesome.
all this stuff. But like that was like the best thing that's happened to me. Like people could say, oh, you went to South by like all these other things. No, the best thing that happened to me this year was that my dishwasher bought a house.
That's big.
That's big. That's the cool part about it all. Like lives are being changed, right? Like home ownership and those those are game changers for people. That's going to change the trajectory of their family forever.
When you hit 25, I'll bring you back on.
Okay.
All right.
That's awesome.
That'll be like a benchmark. All right, Braden, it's been 4 months.
I don't know. You might like be so rich and famous by then. It'll be like, who are you again?
No, hey,
you'll have an office overlooking the ocean in California. You'll be like, who are you again?
Whoa, you ain't got to tell me where I'm going to be moving out to.
Okay.
St. Louis will be my vacation house.
That's right. Always got to have a home base here.
Yeah.
Never forget where you came from.
Keeps me going is the people. Because, you get caught up in what happens in the business world, but it's the people that keep me going. People that like lived here their whole lives. Like I started saying, changing the way you see St. Louis one bite at a time. Mm-hmm. When someone in their 60s was like, I've lived here 50 years of my life and you've changed the way I see this city in 2 years. And then like just knowing the amount of businesses that I say we, not me, I put out the content, I go experience it, but we've been able to save it. And then like really showing social media and like what that could do for a city. And now it's the norm. So, my office team here, we talk about it and it's just like, I feel like with me, I feel I've done what the goal was, the first goal. Mm-hmm. Now we're on to this next wave that will start, but it's the people are what keeps me going. Cause they're like, sometimes I'm like, all right, I'm done. And then they're like, nah, Brad, like, yeah, like we love it. And the impact.
It's all about the impact. I mean, I was at the grocery store this weekend and like, I'm just pushing my cart down the grocery store and I see this little kid, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. It's the ice cream lady. And they like run up and they like throw their arms around my legs. And I'm like, hey. You've
never met the kid.
No, never met the kid at all. I see you on TV, right? It's like, I love your ice cream. It's so great. I mean, and like, that's the like intangibles, right? Of like, yeah, I have a pretty amazing gig.
That's right? Like when someone's like, how have you been? You're just like, good. Like, you don't know what to say. Like, and you try to explain that to someone that like doesn't know that feeling. And I feel good.
I make ice cream for a living. I never have unhappy customers.
Yeah.
Rarely, but
That's on them. The product's consistent.
That's right.
That's the thing. Like if there's
Great
a line,
experience.
They
moves fast.
Yeah. Like I've noticed, when I have 2-3 people there versus one, if I go probably today on a Monday at 1:00, there's probably one person, but if I go Friday at 5, there's probably 2-3. So like
or 4
or 4. Yeah. Before I let you go, I tend to ask the guests a few different questions. The first one is Foodie Friday. So 3-4 places in town that you just enjoy going to on the regular. Now, if your list is like 15 long, if you just want to share, we're going into summer, 3-4 of your favorite spots.
A car in Clayton is amazing. I love Bernie's food. It's so great. Lona's awesome.
Yep.
Gosh, Louis. I love Louis.
I still need to go there.
Yeah. And actually, recently I discovered a place in West County that was like so awesome. I can't believe I've lived here so long and I've never been there. Paul Mano's is like old school Italian, dude. It rocks. It's so cool. Yeah. And so now that's going to be like brought into now that I've,
You may catch Ozzie Smith there. He was like the one. To be honest, I haven't heard of Paul Manos until Ozzie for Foodie Friday. He said Paul Manos.
It's so good. It's like you drive into a strip mall and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not eating at a strip mall restaurant. Sorry, just don't. But someone's like, no, you have to go. You have to go. I was like, okay. But you walk in the door and you're like transported back to like old school Italian, Brat Pack, like pictures all over the wall. Like, it's super cool. Yeah.
Well, for the last one, how about this? This is coming out in May. What 3 scoops are you getting at Clementine's in May? No pressure.
Oh, gosh. So, well, maybe you don't know this, but we are doing a collaboration with the Missouri History Museum.
I didn't know.
Around, they're launching and opening their new World's Fair exhibit.
Okay.
And so we're creating some new ice cream flavors for them. So I would definitely say one of my scoops is Meet Me in St. Louis, which is awesome, which is available at the History Museum and will be available in our shops. And they're going to get a portion of the proceeds will be donated back to the museum. Sorry. Bleep. I always get honestly,
it's hard. You have so many good flavors.
Tahini chocolate chip is always on my cone. My Madagascar vanilla is always on my cone. And then typically it's one of my new seasonal flavors. So I would have to say the Meet Me in St. Louis.
That's funny.
It's a sweet corn ice cream.
I'm always curious, because the Italian butter cookie was mine for 2 years. That was my 3rd scoop. But then lately I'm like, okay, you need to try something else. And sometimes I know I get up to 3. I can try. I know which ones I'm going to order, but I'm also a little curious.
You can actually try as many as you want.
Okay, it's not limited to 3
nope.
or 5. Mm-mm. Breaking news.
Yeah, but don't do it on a Friday night and be
don't be obnoxious with it.
Yeah, because you got a lot of people behind you. But on a Monday at 12 or 1, go in and try all 24. It's actually a really fun thing to do. Go during the week on the afternoon. You're like, oh, I'm kind of bored. What do I want to do? Or I'm at work. I'm like, I'm going to take a late lunch. Go to one of our shops and literally try all the flavors and make it a thing to do with girlfriends. It's kind of fun.
It's like a tasting, like a wine tasting.
Yeah, but an ice cream tasting.
I mean, with what you do with breakfast at Tiffany's, I think people would pay, if there were 6 different flavors, like you do flights.
We do have a flight. It's called a Grand Cru, and you can get 5 flavors.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
When it's 105 degrees in a month, I'm ordering that.
And he'll have 5 scoops. And I'll be like, yes.
Oh, I'll eat it.
So do I.
Yeah.
Clearly.
And now, dinner guests, 3 people, dead or alive. If you could have them join you at a booth, it could be family, friends, mentors, celebrities. It is hard sometimes. So if
3 people,
3, you plus 3 others, you're in that booth right down the street.
Boy, can I flip the question a little bit? Mm-hmm. I think it would be really cool. Yeah, I'm totally not answering that question because I can't think right now.
Are you running for office? Is that what you're? No, I'm just kidding.
No, what I think would be really cool would be to sit down with the oldest living person from every country and ask them what's the best invention that they've seen over their lifetime, because there's a lot of countries with overcentenarians who are living, and to find out what that would be. I think that'd be really cool. So the 3 people dead or alive, whoever lived the longest in most recent history, those 3 people, and I'd want to know what they thought the best inventions were or the best things of their lifetime. Because I'm eternally curious and I love history.
Yeah.
So I think that would be amazing.
That would be interesting, because it's you guys like your phones. You don't sit back, talk anymore, and the last 20 years of my life, you guys have